So welcome back to our art video. My name's Anne Kinahan. This is DrinK in a Hand art. We're about to start part 2 of our video about painting figures in a landscape. Not real figures, impressions of figures, semi-abstract figures. So now we're on for the fun part. How do you do figures if you're not used to doing it? Now this is something that Bob Burridge has taught me, and so I'm just passing on the tips. So if you're interested in watching, look him up online, Bob Burridge or Bob Blast. So Bob would use a big brush like this for this. He would get his black paint, and he would start by doing a small round, and this, which is the head. He would leave a gap. He would press down hard with his brush, and then he would go down to quite a narrow point, which would be the person's feet, and then he would do a shadow. The things which make a person look like a person are the head has to be small enough, a lot smaller than you would normally expect. Then you have this big blobby bit for the top half, which might be, someone in their coat. Then their legs coming down to a point. And then the real thing which makes them look like a person is a shadow, because people always have shadows. Let's try one more. And Bob calls these people carrot people. So again, a small round, a blob for the top, then coming down to a point, and then a shadow. Now, you can see what I've done here. I haven't left a gap here between the top of the body and the head, and that straight away makes it look as if the person is walking away from us. So just if we remember that if we want it to look like the person is looking towards us, we put a gap between the head and the body. If we want them to look like they're walking away from us, you don't leave a gap. Now, the next thing is that Bob will say is that it doesn't matter how straight the body is, it can actually come down in quite a wiggly way. So let's make this person actually doing something. So there's a little round for the head. Now I'm going to do this blob, and then do something like this. And that is still amazingly figure-like. I don't quite know what that person is doing, but maybe they're about to bend over and say something to a child. Maybe we could just try and put a child in here. The child would be halfway up. A little shadow. It doesn't really, that's what Bob says, it doesn't really matter what you do. They will look like figures, especially once they're in a landscape. So just try a few more along here. And the other thing that Bob says all the time is whatever you do, practice, practice, practice. Practice will makes you kind of confident, so you can knock things out quickly. Oh, forget that, I've gone wrong. I did the big blob at the top instead of doing the head. So just do the head here. I think I've put that person in flares and on stilts, so I think I didn't get the blob big enough at the top. I mean, straight away, to me, that looks like it could be a workman. This looks like it could be a younger person. I think it's fascinating how these come out. Sorry, a bit more of a wobble for this. Oh, I've messed it up by not. I don't think that will look right. I'll just put it in anyway, but because this big bit at the top has to be. Oh, that's all right. It could be someone in an overcoat, something of a longer overcoat. So even then, even though I had gone wrong with that, I was able to correct it. it now looks like someone maybe in a cap and in an overcoat. I'll just try one more. Nice big bob down.
Overcoat, something of a longer overcoat. So even then, even though I had...
This looks like it could be someone who's reading a paper or has got a satchel or something with them. So I hope you agree that those could look like figures. Now, even while it's still wet, let's have a go at trying to put some colour in. Just going to try the other brush. So we could try this one. Let's put some red at the top. So a red coat for that one. And maybe for this one,
some red trousers.
Just seen I've still got some purple here. Let's put some purple in somewhere. What about a purple top for this one here? And maybe, what about a purple overcoat here? That's right, isn't it? So again, don't worry. I mean, you know, if you think that people shouldn't be these black silhouettes, you can easily stick in a bit of colour. I didn't put out any yellow, but normally I could have put some yellow out. Let's try a bit of blue. What about a blue top for this one here? What do we think? So that's all I wanted to say really about the about experimenting with the figures. The things which will make them look like figures is a perfectly round blob at the top and keep it small, smaller than you would expect. Then push down very hard with your brush, and then lift the brush off slightly and go much thinner. Don't forget to put in a shadow at the bottom because that will really make it look like a person. While it's still wet, you can put in your colours, and again, any colour will do, even if people wouldn't normally be going around in purple overcoats. In a landscape, suddenly it will look all right. To slot our figures into the landscape which we created earlier, which is this one, and to finish our painting. Okay, so I'm off to have another cup of tea and to change my water. Welcome back to our video. We're in the middle of aiming to produce some impressions of figures and putting them in a landscape. In part one of this video, we painted a very simple seascape. So now we're going to put the two together and see if we can put some figures in the landscape and give the impression that they're at the edge of the sea, just looking out. Now for this, I'm going to use a smaller brush, but still it's a round brush with a little point. So let's get started. I'm just going to do the figures in black like we did on the piece of paper. And I'm going to, now we have to think about composition a little bit. Bob would always say think about composition. And there is a thing which I think is called the golden rule, where you put your focal point a third of the way in on your canvas. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my focal point here. This is going to be a slightly a figure which is closest to us and will be our focal point. So again, but still remember, a small round for the head. Now I'm going to push down and try to make the top of the body with this little brush. This brush could do with being a bit bigger, but I haven't got the intermediate sizes, so it'll have to be like this. And then we come down, it doesn't have to be exactly straight, and then we let it show a shadow. Oops, that's not the way I want the shadow to go. In this case I want the shadow to go down here, because I think the sun is coming from over there. I'm just going to try and wipe that off a little bit so that the black isn't on the sand. Right, Now, again, if you're talking about groups of people, it's always better, I think, to have a group of 3 or 5 rather than 2 or 4. So in this case, I'm going to make a group of 3. I'm going to put another person here. And this might be a child or, anyway, but a smaller person. The shadows must all go in the same direction, of course. And then someone with this person, so it's a group of, the 3 is arranged as a 2 and a 3. I think that would look better for the composition. So there we've got our 3 people. Something else which Bob taught me was that if you want the person to look like it's a man, they should have bigger shoulders. If you want them to look like a woman, they should have smaller shoulders. And the other thing is, I think I do want this to look a bit like, the people are looking away from us. And I said in the last part of this video, is that if you want them to look like they're looking away, then you need to fill in the space between the head and the shoulders. So I'm quite pleased with that. That looks, I think that's about right. Now I'm going to put some colour in. I'm going to put some red for, I think this now looks like a woman in an overcoat. So I'm going to put that as a red colour. And again, it doesn't have to be all over. The black can just show through. What other colours have I got? I've got some green, so I could put some green for this younger person, the smaller person, who I'm assuming is a younger person. Just put some green there. Again, doesn't have to be very special. And I could really just put some red again on this person's trousers. I think there. And I think that's about it, really. Let's see if there's anything else we want to do just to tidy this up. I might just have a little bit more of the sea showing through there. Maybe a tiny bit more there, not very much. Maybe where these touches are here, just some tiny, tiny little bits of white. I know Bob would be just finishing this off with his hands. Because all of this is just about giving the impression. It's not about trying to produce a photograph. So I think that's it. I'm going to hold it up and show you now. I think for something which has just taken a few minutes, and I hope you agree, that this is a very easy way to produce a seascape. And you could imagine doing the same sort of thing, maybe with a dog running around or some boats, something like that. So it's something to build on. And that's my plan really for our next few videos, is that we will be building on this to do slightly more complex figures and figures with different backgrounds. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you can, it would be lovely if you could subscribe, because then, you know, when the videos come out, you can see for yourself whether you're interested. But they would all come to your inbox on YouTube, and you can decide for yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you.